another side quest episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm one of your hosts, Madelyn.
I'm your other host, Emma.
And welcome to what is our indeterminate number episode of recording of the week.
You know, it says something that there was like a split second there where I was like saying I'm your other host, Emma, where I had to think about it.
Are you?
There's a brief moment of hesitation where I was like, what's my name again? Oh, yeah. Oh, well. It's fine.
So welcome to what is at the same time the first and the last pre-recorded Japan podcast.
Yes.
And it's your everyday side quest. Nothing different about it here. Pretty much in line with the schedule we usually record. At the end of this episode, we'll walk you through what to expect in the next 2 weeks, where it will be gone, but we'll still be in your ears at our normal Sunday at noon time. Sunday at noon, EST, notably.
Yeah.
Because for us, it'll be it'll be Monday at 1 a.m.
Is that right?
It's 13 hours ahead.
Yeah, okay.
So, as usual on our side quests, we're going to download some save data to your podcast listening brain memory card. That went a lot of different directions.
Yeah, it did.
Give you your question of the fortnight, the weather report, the traffic report, your off-topic corner, all that talk this goodness that you've come to expect on these side quests every other week. So without further ado, I think I introduce this with without further ado every single time, but I don't remember it because it's 2 weeks apart.
Mal just hates ado.
No ado.
She wants as little of it as possible.
Ado not. What have you been playing, Emma?
Pretty much just Kingdom Hearts 3 Critical Mode.
It's embarrassing that we're back to that. No offense.
I know, it kind of is. I haven't been playing that much of it, as evidenced by the fact that I am still in Toy Story, in the babies and toddlers section, in which I have been a baby and a toddler and died about 8 times now. Like, because the issue with, like, the rooms being so big is that, like, it will set you back at the start of the room. And you might have gone through, like, 3 waves of enemies.
Yeah, that was already a problem for me very, very occasionally in the normal game. And only, I'm sure, becomes more of a problem in critical mode.
It's like, if you, like, once they possess those, like, stuffed animals, those Heartless that possess the stuffed animals, like, it's over for you. No, it's not that fast, but it's a factor.
The end game begins.
Yeah. But I've taken the same selfie with the same hidden Mickey like 7 times now because it's right at the start of the room.
It's called a lucky emblem.
Whatever they're called.
We finally watched here the Just a Pancake Kingdom Hearts 3 in a nutshell and associated videos.
I haven't watched it yet. Is it good?
It was quite funny. There was also a good one where it's like Sora's in the hospital, right? And Raikou comes to visit him.
Yes, Raikou.
And he brings him like chocolates, I think, with like a Mickey Mouse sticker on them.
Mm-hmm.
And Sora's like, oh no. And Donald and Goofy come out and they're like, I think I found a lucky emblem. This might be a good spot to find something. Like, it just is like a mail story. I recommend looking it up. It was quite funny.
I'm taking all that I can from a decent angle, taking all the lucky emblems with Sora, like with his hand out, like gesturing to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's been like all my photos so far is just
nice
that pose with various lucky emblems.
I like it. A themed Instagram for Sora.
Yeah, I get very frustrated when I find one in which I cannot do it in this pose because of the angle. It's just, it's infuriating, honestly.
As a person who also takes weird photos for Instagram, I can sympathize.
But I also, and we're not recording at noon on Sunday. We're sorry, guys. But I've probably played some games on the plane. because I bought a few from Steam's Golden Week sale. So,
what's on the docket?
Well, it wasn't actually on the Golden Week sale, but it was pretty cheap. So I got Valhalla, which is cyberpunk bartender action.
What?
I don't know. It's like a cult classic that I've never played but heard good things about. So that's on there. I got like 3 games in a bundle from some sort of obscure creator. Like he just like does like, I guess they're like RPG Maker games, but they were all like 50 cents. So
nice.
And apparently he has, or they have, I don't know what the gender of the creator is, but they have like dedicated fans. So maybe I'll try some of those out. And then I got Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight, which appears to be sort of like a 8-bit like slash 'em up or whatever.
So you've got some variety.
Yeah. Plus I have some stuff that have just been sitting on here for who knows how long that I could try.
I'm hoping the plane had... Last time Click Boyfriend and I flew internationally, there were like video games as part of the in-flight entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that our flight has had that.
They're usually just like Solitaire and like Candy Crush though, right?
That's fine. I need stuff to do. That'll be I can write like a nice little mini blog post to post when we touch down.
Fair enough.
Like, here's my review.
How about you, Mal? What have you been playing?
So I think the first thing I was trying to remember, last time I talked about finishing The World Ends With You, right?
Yes, you did.
And playing another day.
Yeah.
So we went back and unlocked a new day and played through that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I share your opinion that as a standalone edition, it kind of undercuts most of the major themes of the game.
Yeah.
And makes little sense. No, it makes little sense. I mean, I get what's happening in it, but...
Yeah. I mean, you know, from the fact of how much stuff happens from the beginning of The World Ends With You to the end of The World Ends With You, like, you know, if the status quo had been the same from, like, the first week of The World Ends With You all the way through, like, it would not be nearly as good of a game, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, in thinking about it more, I'm like, if this is, like, a prologue to something, then, like, obviously, like, this isn't how it's going to play out in the end. But it feels bad when you don't know.
I get it, but it's like, I thought we had reached some kind of resolution. I'm trying not to be too spoilery here because, you know, the final remix wasn't released that long ago. I thought we had reached some kind of an agreement or resolution with the composer.
Yeah.
And it's weird then to have that not appear to have happened.
Yeah.
But, boy, does it seem to be setting up other games.
Yeah.
So, look for that in 2024.
It'll be sooner than that.
Yeah, okay.
It will.
Probably it will, but I'm not going to hold my breath yet.
Yeah.
So did that. Trying to think if I have any... I just started buying up all the items because I wanted to get a better score, like a better grade.
Mm-hmm.
So that was satisfying to spend a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's like, we were talking about this. Of like, oh yeah, this would be fun to go back and like play a little bit of every once in a while and try to get some of the secret reports. So maybe I'll play a little bit of it every once in a while. But mostly what I've been playing is, because we're going to Japan, like we finished The World Ends With You sort of near the beginning of this 2-week period. And I was thinking, I was like, oh, you know, maybe I should start Nier Automata. Like, I just watched your video on it, mm-hmm. right? I've been wanting to start that, meaning to start that. But I was like, there's no way I'm going to finish that game before we leave.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel like one that, like, it feels like I'm just going to get to, like, really to the meat of it. And then I'm going to leave for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Which I feel like isn't setting myself up for success. So instead, I picked up Assassin's Creed, literally Assassin's Creed, the first one. That I started playing, like, probably, no, not quite a year ago, because I'm pretty sure I got it for like $2 from GameStop on my birthday. So just about a year ago, not quite a year ago. And I've been playing that. And as I will talk about just a little bit on next week's episode, it's not a very good stealth game, nor is it's a little like, it's the control that I have of my character isn't as good as I would like.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of satisfying to be climbing around, although you can definitely tell that in this first game they haven't put as much thought into the environments.
Yeah.
Like, they're just a little bit more boring and blend together than in, obviously, the stuff that they do, not even just now, but even just a few games later.
And you'll be bringing this up next week.
I will be bringing this up next week. But it's been fun. I've been enjoying playing it. It's pretty low-key, low stakes.
It's funny that it's low stakes for a game about an assassin.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. The assassination moments just aren't built up big enough to feel dangerous.
Casual assassination.
No, it's just like really inelegant. It's just like I end up like chasing after the guy, stabbing him in the middle of the street, and then I run around the city for like half an hour trying to hide in the hay.
That feels. That's not very assassinly of you.
No, it's not. It's not. They also have this weird... So, like, with Assassin's Creed, like, the gimmick is, like, you're playing in the Animus, right? Like, you're, like, accessing your ancestors' memory.
Yeah.
And you're, like, this, like, modern-day assassin, basically, in a research lab. But the research lab parts are so boring. Like, I was talking to Cliff, my boyfriend, about this, and I was saying, like... And he was saying, like, oh, they did it just to set up other games. And I'm like, that's fine, I guess. And from a like a user interface justification standpoint, right, having the Animus sort of justifies, why you can die and come back to life and why you can't go to certain areas. Mm-hmm. So it was sort of interesting to think about it from that perspective, especially based on your latest video. Made me think of it that way. But man, I wish there was just more to do in the outside world, or more that was like I stole a couple pens, and I really was hoping I could use it to stab the sketchy researcher guy, but that hasn't been presented to me as an opportunity yet, so we'll see.
We'll see.
Also, so I've done like 4 of the seemingly 9 assassinations, although I'm right on the edge of doing the 5th, major assassinations, and man, something shady about my assassin master. I'm way ahead of him here. Pretty sure I'm gonna have to kill him. See if that comes to pass.
What's with this family line and the sketchy bosses?
What?
This family line and sketchy bosses.
Yeah, I know. And then just in terms of like, my boyfriend finished Ico, so I got to see the end of Ico, which he has also been playing for like a year, even though it's like an 8-hour game. Mm-hmm. But he finished it. So, bonsoir. Bonsoir. That's what the character says all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was fun. We've both been just trying to check games off the list so we can start a little bit fresh when we get back. So, do I hear a roll of thunder? Is that the sound of rain on the roof?
No, it's the sound of the U.S. government coming.
It's the weather report.
The U.S. government is descending upon us. That's the sound they make, yeah. So, on Wednesday, a U.S. Senator? Congressman.
Senator.
He's in Congress.
Congressman. That's nice and safe.
Yes. Announced that he's, and I can't remember his name, he's Republican, I think, but he's pushing for banning loot boxes in games for minors, or games in which the makers knowingly know that minors are in their loot boxes. That wasn't beautifully phrased, but you know what I mean.
They're trying to ban loot boxes anywhere that a child might access them. It's Senator Josh Hawley, a Republican from Missouri.
See, I wonder, I would have to read the actual bill, but, like, there's that, like, internet one, like, the FEMA stuff that, like, Facebook just, you know, gets around by saying you have to be 13 to have a Facebook, right?
Yeah.
I think it's FEMA, right? Or
I'm not totally sure, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's some acronym for internet stuff where, like, if you are collecting personal information, you have to have some sort of protection against collecting minors' information. Like, you can't do it knowingly. So stuff like
COPA. Children's Online Privacy Protection Act.
What is FEMA? Just out of curiosity.
FEMA is an emergency management. It's like the emergency response agency.
Same difference.
I knew that, but I wasn't sure if there was another FEMA.
The internet is always in emergency status.
Yeah.
But COPA, right? Yeah. So I wonder if it's just like that. Like, if, like, Fortnite, for instance, could be like, you have to be 13 to play Fortnite, just so you know. Anyway, have fun, kids.
Well, this legislation, though, is for anyone under 18.
Oh, I see.
So that would be a real problem for Fortnite. Yeah, that'd be a real problem for Fortnite.
Yeah, it's not just Fortnite, too. It's stuff like Candy Crush and sports games and everything like that. So, like, the banning of loot boxes is something that would severely affect a lot of companies' bottom lines, basically.
Actually, I take it back. Fortnite doesn't actually have loot boxes currently.
Whatever. I just picked Fortnite just because.
Yeah.
And because there's all that stuff of, like there's the article of, like, kids are being bullied into spending money on Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
But the difference between loot boxes and just microtransactions, in case you don't know, is that you don't know what you get when you buy a loot box. So, like, if you're buying, just doing a microtransaction, like in Fortnite, if there's a skin you want, you can buy that skin and you get that skin guaranteed. Whereas with loot boxes, it's like, there's a chance you could get this, or you might get this or this or this. Ooh, what's in the box? It's like, what's those, like, you get, like a pinball machine, sort of, I guess. Not a pinball machine, what's a capsule machine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like a Wonder Ball.
Yeah.
That's an old reference, but yeah.
So it's been determined in several countries that loot boxes don't constitute gambling. So that's, like, one concern that it is that it's a form of gambling and therefore should be regulated against gambling, which the gaming industry has tried to push back against for obvious reasons. But then again, of course, there's, like, the ethical concerns. But then, of course, there's, like, should it be the U.S. government who doesn't understand what, like, Facebook is yet, be doing the legislation? Like, ideally, we should, like, the game industry should have been regulating itself beforehand. But basically, it's whether or not we think that this is the right way to approach loot boxes. Because I agree that, like, there's some loot boxes make me feel a little basically.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. But I don't know. Whenever the government gets involved, there's, like, always, like, a secondary part that just wants to demonize video games as a thing.
Well, the quotes about this, it's pretty, like, it's, like, a little icky, like, the way he talks. I mean, of course, right, the way he talks about it. He's like, social media and video games prey on user addiction, siphoning our kids' attention from the real world and extracting profits from fostering compulsive habits. Which is, like, whenever they're like, it's taking your attention away from the real world, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, calm down. I wonder if you can get around this just by saying, okay, so, like, you can buy currency, like game currency, and then you can spend that game currency on loot boxes.
Yeah, that's another, like, that's why I would have to actually read the bill that he's proposing. Because, like, how strict is this? How easy is it to get around? So, like, if it's super easy to get around, like, what's the point?
Right.
Anyway.
If all you have to do is have people say they're 18.
But if it's, like, super, super strict, then I don't know.
Well, then it just becomes, it becomes impossible to enforce, right?
Yeah.
If you're having to have people submit some kind of proof of age to play a game. I mean, because, like, loot boxes are not going to go away.
Yeah.
But if you're having to have people, like, submit some actual proof of age that somebody has to verify to play, I mean, that's impossible.
Yeah. I wish the games industry would do a lot of things by itself.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. I wish they would have, like, realized that this was going to happen sooner or later, and so they should have gotten on it sooner on their own and come up with policies for it.
But, like, just what can they do that's going to feel like it's going to be in any way significant that isn't impossibly onerous? That's sort of what I'm struggling with, because, yeah, I sort of agree that, yeah, it's bad to market these, especially if you're marketing them especially to kids, but it's bad to have them in games that have a sizable, like, kid audience. But to some extent, like, looking at a game like Fortnite in particular, yeah, it is played by a lot of middle schooler, high schooler types, right? Like, of course we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing about Fortnite, except that it's, not blatantly bloody, right,
Mm-hmm.
is really targeted at kids. And I know they don't have loot boxes, so this is not, I'm just using this as an example, because it's an easy example. Nothing about Fortnite is really targeted at kids, specifically, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it feels unfair, especially if you make a game that is meant for adults, and it just happens to become popular with kids. It seems unfair that you're going to have to institute this. I mean, the only way to effectively enforce this is to have a whole team who's, like, literally, like, like bouncers, like, checking ID.
Yeah.
Which just doesn't feel sustainable, but I also don't feel like the industry is going to be willing to just say, okay, no loot boxes.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, from my perspective, I wish sometimes that they'd just be like, okay, no loot boxes. But I also understand that, like, you have to make money so that you can make games, so that you can pay your employees, and maybe these companies aren't perhaps paying their employees like they should, or treating their employees like they should, but theoretically, right, you need some sort of money in order to do the good things that a company can do.
yeah.
And for a lot of companies, they get a lot of money from loot boxes, and maybe that's bad, but then you have to find an alternative to that. And is the alternative raising your base game price? Is it making more, like, not loot box microtransactions? Like, do people buy those more often than loot boxes? Like, what are the... There's
Almost
a lot
certainly
of
they don't,
stuff.
right? I mean, it just seems necessarily that they couldn't.
Yeah. There's just a lot of stuff you have to consider. And then I wonder, like, I guess it's just for kids, but, like, gacha games, like, how do those factor in? Like, and what is... Yeah. There's just a lot of questions to be answered that I wish we had more prepared answers for as this starts to happen on a federal level.
What percentage of senators do you think... I'm not going to say have ever played a video game, right? Because, like, eliminating games like Windows Solitaire that made it into the Game Hall of Fame this week, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, Candy Crush, right? Eliminating those games that... I don't mean to eliminate them because they're not real games. Like, they're very real games. But eliminating those, like, very, very common, quote-unquote, like, non-gamers games... How many senators, what percentage of senators do you think have ever played, like, a console video game?
I don't know.
I wonder, right?
Yeah. Or even among those who have played them, it's just like, whenever something technology related ends up in Congress, like, you're just like they just don't understand it. Like, there's plenty of people just like don't get it, like, on a fundamental level.
Yeah.
So
like, that's what I'm saying. Has any current senator finished a video game ever? Like,
to be fair, did they have time to do anything besides their jobs?
They've been people. Like,
have they? People... I think they just like burst out in their old man forms.
But theoretically, they were old men before they were senators, at least. Anyway, it's a difficult situation because, of course, you don't want to be marketing these to children, and that's bad. But how do you keep them out?
Yes.
Tricky. So
basically our answer is that we're very scared and confused about how this will progress.
I mean, on some level, I'm not, technically, I'm not that scared. I don't really play games that have loot boxes.
I'm not scared from a personal level. I'm scared from I'm a person who exists on the internet level, and I don't, the discourse, Madelyn, is coming.
That's fair.
It's coming like a tsunami.
That's very fair. And of course I should be, rooting for the health of the industry, and I am. But I do feel lucky that this is not something that really affects the type of games that I frequently play.
Mm-hmm.
So, on a completely different note, settle on in, folks. This time, the off-topic corner is curled up in a first-class plain bed, chillin' as we fly over the Atlantic in comfort. Not in economy class, where we really were, but in our little off-topic, comfy first-class nook. It's the off-topic corner. So, I decided, I think, that, especially based on a conversation I was having with him today where he was saying that as a kid on the TLC network, he would frequently watch What Not to Wear and Clean House. I've decided that's a good piece of entertainment that's pretty low stakes and pretty fun to download and introduce Click Good Boyfriend to on our big long plane ride to Japan is Queer Eye, which is just Queer Eye now, right? They've cut the For the Straight Guy.
Yeah. Well, because they do other things too. Now.
Yeah. It's Queer Eye, 'cause I thought, it's fun, like, you can watch a bunch, it's nice. And so my very, very, very off-topic corner question this week is, if you could only pick one of them to, like, redo your life, one of the Fab Five, you don't get to have the whole team, you just get to have one, which one would you pick? You can't pick the dog that lives down the hall from them in season 3.
But the dog that lives down the hall from them, how'd you know I was going to say that?
It's confusing, that dog's relationship to the Fab Five.
I think they've stolen it.
I know.
Can you remind me of all their names and what they do again?
Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, so Tan is the fashion one.
Right, Tan.
Karamo owns that same hat in 10,000 colors.
Karamo's like lifestyle, right?
Yeah, he's the one that's like, what's your expertise?
Yeah.
Jonathan does hair and skincare.
Right.
The blonde guy.
The blonde guy, oh no.
I always forget about him because he's like sort of on his own doing the thing. I'll look up his name. This is it's been a while. I haven't watched every episode, which is part of why I thought this would be good on the planks. I haven't watched. The Fab Five brings up a bunch of things that aren't them. Here we go.
It's Fab Five is the gymnastics team, right?
This is telling me it's the University of Michigan's 1991 men's basketball team.
Oh.
I think there was a Fab Five.
Is that also the guys from Queer Eye?
Could you imagine? Bobby is the blonde guy. He's the only one whose name I couldn't remember. Because, again, he's always, like, off doing his house thing on his own. He doesn't get to interact quite as much.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony teaches you how to make guacamole.
See, it's funny we couldn't remember Bobby the blonde guy, because I'm pretty sure I would pick Bobby.
Why would you pick Bobby?
Well, one, he would find me a place to live that is not, my childhood home.
I don't think he's a realtor. I think he's a home decor specialist.
Well, he's the home guy, so he's got to work with what he's given.
And let's do this on the assumption that they also, like, you're picking someone to do the whole thing. Like, you're not just picking, I just want a home makeover. You're picking who you think will be most competent at doing the whole
That changes the question.
Sorry, you could answer both.
I thought it was just like what you were asking, just what part of your life is most in shambles right now. So,
well, answer that and then answer who you'd like to try to handle all of it.
Well, the first one is definitely Bobby, because whatever place I get, it's going to be a small apartment that could use, like, some free sprucing up, right? And I trust myself on most other aspects of my life, / like, I'm never going to put that much effort into my skin and hair and makeup and stuff, so that would just be a waste of time. And I don't know, I haven't seen enough to determine who's most competent. It wouldn't be Tan, because it would make me throw out my capris. And, like, no. It wouldn't be Karambo, because... Did I say his name wrong?
What did you say?
What's his name?
Karamo. Not Karambo.
Sorry. I just learned all their names. I got him mixed up with Bobby, obviously. Karamo, because he's just a little too aggressive about feelings.
He is pretty aggressive about feelings.
I don't know. I always like Antony's segments where they just make the guacamole, because he just seems like a chill dude, especially like in comparison to the other ones who are a little bit more like out there, I guess. He just seems like he'll just like chill with you and make the guacamole,
Yeah.
I'm just fixated on the guacamole, clearly.
You are pretty fixated on the guacamole as someone who, like...
Doesn't like guacamole.
So, I guess I think of them all, I would be sad to throw out clothes, but I think I would have to have Tan do my wardrobe, because I'm never going to spring on expensive clothes, but it would be good for someone to buy them for me. And I have too many clothes, so it would be good to have, somebody tell me what to throw out, because that's really hard for me. Yeah, so that would be helpful. In terms of picking one person to handle the whole thing, that's tricky. I feel like the thing I need the least, because my apartment is tiny and I don't really own any of the furniture, is Bobby's work. Because it would just feel like a waste.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a little bit the same about the hair and makeup, because, yeah, I'm just never... I barely have time to brush my hair.
Please brush your hair, Mel.
I do brush my hair. Man, Jonathan would have something to say about that, but, like, this is my sob story, is I barely have time to brush my hair. Right? Like, he'd be like, oh, honey. I don't know. I think Karamo would be, no offense, like, pretty useless, but, like, we could hang.
He could give you some of his hats.
Yeah.
What is it? LA... His
Dodgers.
LA hats. LA Dodgers
I did want to get my boyfriend a cute baseball cap, and we didn't manage to do that, so I could get one from Karamo. So those are my picks. Controversial, probably. Let us know your favorite Fab Five guy, not on the Michigan's basketball team, on Queer Eye. Beep, beep. That was really... I need to get my brakes checked. It's time for the traffic report. So I didn't pull up the blog before this, so I'm going to look, but I'm also going to do this off of my head. So this past 2 weeks on the blog, I think Clickbait Boyfriend got back to the regular schedule. We had a special edition post about him trying out Critical Mode, which featured a bunch of Sora emojis coming to the App Store soon. I wish. Also featured our special Kingdom Hearts 13 questions for Kingdom Hearts 3 blog. Of course, 13 questions, right?
Yeah.
which is super funny and fun, and you should check it out, because all we post about is Kingdom Hearts 3 now on the blog.
Yeah.
And there's also an edition of Split Screen. It's volume 36. Can you believe it? So many split screens.
Yeah.
Featuring John D. on Boys Over Flowers trying to sleep with the homeless, and
Sleep
the scary
among the homeless.
I'm sorry. I didn't even occur to me that I said that in a way that...
Don't make this show darker than it is, okay?
Yeah, I didn't... Yeah, I know. You're right. I didn't mean to. It wasn't on purpose. So... Wow, what was I even saying? And featuring, like, you found the screenshot of the unholy buff arms that I was referring to.
Okay. Good.
Like, what? So on My Hero Academia. So check those out. A lot of fun blog content. Hopefully there will continue to be some blog content. Certainly, like, at least Clickbait Boyfriends and, like, a split screen maybe
yes,
while we're away.
there will be a split screen.
So check that out. And also follow us on social media. I'm gonna queue up some posts, probably with some, like, best of blog posts or episodes / the various favorite memes that I've made for Clickbait Boyfriend. For your viewing pleasure while we're in Japan. So follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Talk This Podcast, and on YouTube at Talk This Sisters. Emma's Play This is still relatively recent. You should check it out. You want to subscribe now before Clickbait Boyfriend and I launch our new series that we've been talking about the past couple of weeks and are hoping to actually write a script for soon, our intro video. So that'll be exciting. So check out the YouTube. And also, subscribe to the show. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and Pandora Podcasts on the app, and many, many more. Pretty much wherever you can find the podcast, you can find Talk This. It's dangerous to podcast alone. And while you're on that podcast client of choice, hey, leave us a rating and a review. We love that. So, for our last segment, our question of the fortnight on this Japan theme, and we'll finally move away from this Japan theme when we get back. I've exhausted all my Japan-related questions.
Except for this off-topic corner where we just talk about Japan, but which I'm sure will happen.
Shh, that's okay. I wanted to ask this week, if you had to pick a JRPG character of your choice to be your best friend, who would it be?
Well, it's a real toss-up here, okay? We got two good boy contenders.
Oh, no.
We got two very good boy contenders. We've got, from Tales of Vesperia, the very good boy, Rapide. He's not a dog. He's not a human. He's just Rapide. He smokes a pipe, and he fights with knives, and he's got a cool costume on.
Do you want a guy around smoking a pipe?
It's a dog. I mean, it's not a dog. It's Rapide. Versus the very good boy, Koromaru from Persona 3. He fights with you with his good boyness. You can take him to the movies, only you get kicked out because you can't bring a dog to the movies. You can take him on walks with your friends, and he has a tragic past that you can help him heal from through the power of snuggles.
Oh.
So, one of the two. Who is the gooder boy? No one can say.
No one would want you to say.
Exactly.
You wouldn't pick human Morgana?
No. Okay, wait. On Wednesday, there was some slightly more news, and one of the bullet points was the Morgana screenshot, human Morgana screenshot, and it was, in one scene, this handsome boy sleeps in the same bed as the protagonist. And I was like, no! No thanks! I don't want it!
You're always the one who's like, you can't romance the boys.
I don't want to romance Morgana.
If that's the price to romance the rest of the boys, that you have to be able to romance Morgana, if that's the price you pay, would it be worth it?
I don't know. I don't know if it would. It's the definition of the monkey's paw wish of it biting you back. You get what you want, but only at the cost of something Like your humanity. Or your soul.
Nice.
Oh boy. Okay, anyway. Back to happier topics.
Good boys.
Who would your best friend be? Who would your new best friend be?
This is a tricky one for me, because I feel like some of my top contenders I kind of want to rule out.
Okay.
Right? Both Champ McDude and Sora have too many friends.
But they would definitely be your friend.
They would definitely be my friend. The friendship barrier would be easier, but since I'm just getting to pick someone to be my best friend and I don't have to worry about how we become friends, I want to make sure I'm a priority in their life.
Plus, Champ McDude is like the Karamo coming in and fixing your life.
I know.
From the toxicity.
I'm open to that. But I'm worried that he wouldn't have time for me. Or that he would try to romance me. Because he's a slick guy.
Yeah.
So, he's
a cool dude.
He's a witty guy.
Yeah.
But they neither of them, they're too obsessed with their other friends. They had too much friendship around. So that can't be it. It's tempting to pick Mickey Mouse just for the sheer irony of it.
You can't pick Mickey Mouse. He's not a JRPG character.
Yes, he is. That's what I'm saying. Just to be like, Donald Duck. But I couldn't pick Mickey Mouse. That'd be the end of my relationship. He would tear us apart. Also, I don't like mice. It's tempting to be like a Pokemon, right? Because then I would have a Pokemon.
We're seeing Detective Pikachu.
I know. We saw, you mean?
We saw Detective Pikachu.
It was a movie.
Good friend materials.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ryan Reynolds' Pikachu could be a good option. But I feel like I'd have to go with like one of my Persona 5 confidants, probably. I'm trying to think of who. It's hard because I'm like, I've started to think of them in terms of like who's beneficial to me. I'm like, oh, Shoji girl, but I'm like, she's not. I think she's too much like me, so like too competitive. I don't think that would work out super well. And like, I have a real soft spot for the man of the people.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yoshida?
I feel like that would be because he's so supportive. I think that would be a weird best friend situation.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, I'm dodging the question here, I realize. I think I'm just gonna have to pick, like, a Squirtle.
Good choice.
That's like picking a dog. It's a turtle.
It's a turtle. Not a dog. It's a turtle.
It could hydrate me whenever I need it.
Do you think people drink Squirtle water?
I don't know. I guess we will have found out in Detective Pikachu, maybe, right?
Yeah, I guess so. The burning questions that nobody had.
Yeah.
Would you drink Squirtle water?
What's the process by which Squirtle makes its water?
I know. That's
would
the
determine
key to
the
it.
answer.
Well, thanks for listening.
Maybe I would pick Traverstown Man.
Which Traverstown Man?
You know the one.
The one that blocks your way up, or the skinny one with the weird hairdo? Or the one that looks like a sad version of Titus?
Not the sad version of Titus. And not the woman.
No, there's like two men, though. There's the large one that blocks
similar?
your jump up, and then there's the skinny one.
I was thinking of the guy in the meme.
Which guy in the meme?
Where they're like, if this guy isn't in Kingdom Hearts 3.
I don't know.
If I Google Traverstown guy, what comes up?
Is he the larger one or the skinnier one?
The one who gets his heart taken.
Oh, the skinnier one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, folks, on that note, this has been this week's episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm one of your hosts, Madeline.
I'm your other host, Emma.
And it's been a joy to have you with us here this week. Next week, tune in for your regularly scheduled main quest episode about an episode that we literally have recorded, and it's a stealth game. Thief. And Days Gone.
Yeah.
This might be a first in podcast history, and it's only because we've already recorded the episode.
See, she did this on another one of the episodes, too, though. She managed to remember them. I'm
getting better. I'm getting a little more sleep lately. My brain cells are regenerating.
Life goals.
Word. So take a look at that. Not a look, really. I mean, I guess you'll have to look to download it, but really what I mean is take a listen to that when it drops next Sunday. I can say without question that it's a good episode because it already exists. The week after that, as opposed to having our regularly scheduled side quest, because let's be honest, our internal clocks are going to be so messed up that anything we say would just be nonsense. You should check out our side quest in which, hey, we're going to give you a little, as if you were sitting in the audience of our presentation at the Popular Culture Association conference in April, where we talk about gameplay mechanics and our methodology for evaluating how they affect player experience of the game. Also a cool little podcast, and one that I'm looking forward to any feedback on.
Yeah. So, until that next time, I hope that this week that somebody comes in and fixes your life with or without stealing your arch nemesis's distorted desire.